I was just telling somebody
What
the
up?
story, and I thought it would be a good story for my channel.
Hugs,
I
not
want to welcome
drugs.
you all to my first
The story is
project.
going to be basically about how hard it is for a normal person,
Normal?
homeless person,
Homeless?
drug addict in general,
Chrissy.
to get sober. Okay, like you see the guy on the side of the street and he's homeless.
This is
and
LA.
Obviously looks strung out, and you're like, oh, why doesn't he get a job?
Get a job.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, it is very, very hard for a homeless person to just get up and get a job.
Not gonna happen.
Get his life back on track. It is not easy.
Impossible.
And
You need help.
when I was strung out and I was on drugs, I actually tried to just quit
With
and
no help.
get my life on track.
Then I went to prison.
and I really was focused. I had the willpower. I wanted to.
What?
I realized that my life was out of control, and I wanted to get back on track, and I wanted to do the right thing. And this is the story about how I did that. So I had a friend named Chaz.
What's up, Chaz?
His real name was Adrian.
What's up, Adrian?
I'll tell you, the way that I met Adrian was I had a friend, my friend Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan.
We're going to be doing a story with him later on. But Ryan had a drug dealer, and his name was Adrian.
What's up, Adrian?
Adrian Bishop. And Adrian Bishop
Sold oxys.
and he had this really sophisticated OxyContin business. So, so what he would do is
What's up, Adrian?
he would get into car accidents. He would stage these car accidents.
Fake accidents.
So like his friend would be driving and
You
he'd be
hit
in the
me!
back, and like his friend would cut him off.
Look at my
And then
car!
they would stage an accident, and then like they would make sure that they had like some injuries.
My neck
And
hurts.
then after he got some injuries, he'd file the police report.
Wee,
The
wee,
police
wee,
would come
wee.
and they'd fill out these insurance things, and he would get paid for the insurance money. Well, the second part of that. Hold on one second. So the second part of that is he had doctors working with him. Oh, and the doctors would like
Broken neck.
blow the injuries out of proportion. So
Spinal injury.
if his neck was hurt, the doctor would say it was like worse.
Bill the insurance.
So I don't think he paid the doctors off. I think it was more that he just gave the doctors business, and
Please come again.
they were just like, like, hey, I'll make sure I come to you all the time. Just make sure you write prescriptions for me. I think it was something like that.
Nice doing business with you.
So he would get the doctor to write these prescriptions for
OxyContin. Many prescriptions.
I don't think the accidents would happen in Florida. I think the accidents would happen in Maine, and then the doctor would write the prescription. But he would call pharmacies all over the country.
CVS,
and
Rite
the
Aid.
only place that would fill his, because you got to remember, Oxy is like, it's like a big thing. Like nobody wants to fill your Oxy prescription. It's like a liability. But this was 2012, 13, 14. Around this time, Florida would fill your Oxy prescription.
We got you, Adrian.
And he had multiple prescriptions. So he had one doctor giving him, I think it was 90
Here you go.
or 180, and then another doctor giving him whatever it was. And he also had other things too. So he would get Oxys, and he'd get
40 milligram Opanas. And a bottle of Xanax bars.
Dilaudids, I don't know. But he would also get more pain meds.
Come again.
So what he would do is he would live in Maine,
Ballin'.
and he had this condo in Old Orchard.
What's up, Adrian?
Old Orchard is like this beach town. They've got roller coasters. It's like a big thing in the summertime. But during the winter, you can rent out really nice apartments by the beach
And do drugs all
for
winter.
dirt cheap. Like he had this condo. I don't think it was dirt cheap, but he had this really nice condo. I want to say it was like
Sponsored by Oxy.
less than, probably around $1,200. It might have been less. I don't know. But it was really nice. It had a downstairs and upstairs, 2 bathrooms.
No toilet paper.
Really nice.
Most drug addicts in Maine don't have
Had a deck.
condos.
It even had a heated garage
To do drugs
which is
in.
one of my favorite things to do. I'd go in the garage, I'd turn on the heater, and I'd do my drugs, and that was like my little spot.
Until I ran out.
But Adrian would
What's up, Adrian?
he'd get he'd live in Old Orchard, and then when it was time for so he'd go to Florida.
Dude, shut up.
Sorry, I'm getting a little mixed up. He would take a plane to Florida every single month.
How's he going to afford
He would
that?
go see his doctor
By taking a
or
plane.
doctors.
You
with
just
an S,
said that.
And they would fill his prescription, and then he would fill it. I'm trying to think, would he fill it in
Adrian's dad also lived in Florida. His insurance wouldn't cover it in Florida.
I don't know. But he would get his oxys and he would come back to Maine
With
and
customers
he would
waiting
just
for him.
sell the oxys, and he'd sell them for
A lot.
30, sometimes 40, sometimes more. I remember him charging like $60. And these are for the 30s. These are for the actual, not the fake ones. These are the real Oxy 30s. So, so the way that I met him was Ryan.
AKA Sauce the Boss.
Ryan.
Shout out to Ryan.
I'm getting all backtracked. But me and Ryan, we had stolen a bunch of money, and like I was using my money to invest money. And Ryan decided he wanted to spend all his money on
Oxycontin.
Oh, no. Now I remember what
Ryan met a girl on Plenty of Fish.
Ryan met a girl.
Kaylee.
And this girl loved oxys. And she said,
Ryan, I want you to get me
oxys.
some oxys.
And
Okay,
so
Kaylee.
Ryan knew that Adrian sold oxys. So he starts getting them from Adrian, and him and the girl break up, but he still keeps doing the oxys because he's got this habit. And he's smoking them.
Off tinfoil.
And if you're smoking like the real oxys, you're wasting like half the pill.
It just burns and evaporates.
Put it on the tinfoil, you smoke it, like you barely feel anything. You got to do another one.
And another
then you're
one.
gonna do like another one. You're gonna do a half of one. You know, you're gonna feel good. And then it's gonna wear off, and then you need more. So like to smoke oxys all day long, you need like
$1,000.
if you're buying them for $30, I think they sell like you can get like a 10 pack.
10-pack.
I don't know, $275, like
A 10-pack.
But you gotta have at least $300 paid to be doing these things. So Ryan starts spending
All of his money.
on oxys, and I'm not doing them. I don't like them.
I think it's
This is
stupid.
before I'd started getting into like heroin and stuff like that. Like I was more of like a benzo guy. I like benzos.
Clonopins, Xanax, methadone wafers. Wafers are 40 milligrams.
That was it. That was my drug of choice. Was like drugs that just made me
Calm.
like social and like feel normal.
Temporarily.
Yeah. Oh, and I was about making money. Like my thing was hustling. Like I was always just trying to like buy something and then resell it, and like, I was always trying to get rich.
You know that it is the hugs and not
So,
the drugs. Ryan's doing these oxys.
And like I said, I'm not doing them. And then like something happens where, I remember. So Ryan was bringing me to go pick up some of my Klonopins. Somebody had a script, and I was buying a script off of him. And
He was going to pick up his oxys.
at the same time. So like I think I had like an excess of money, like an overwhelming amount of excess money at the time. And I remember I was like, you know what? I got all this money.
Yeah, right.
I didn't even know what to spend the money on. Actually.
You've never seen what real
To
money
me-
looks like.
To me, excess money is like a couple $1,000s.
A couple thousand.
So I said, screw it. I'm gonna buy some
Buy some
oxys.
oxys.
So we meet up with Adrian, and
Sup, Adrian?
he sells us a couple.
Adrian used to think he was John Gotti. Sup, Adrian? We didn't know if Adrian had a gun
So
or
I
not.
think like something happened to where like I only had 100.
Drugs
or
destroy your memory.
Something happened where I was like, hey, do you have change?
Nah.
And he's like, no, I don't have change. I'll owe you one.
We trust you, bro.
And so I was like, cool. All right, you'll owe me one. I don't remember if it was he owed Ryan or he owed me. I think it was he owed me.
Can you hurry
But,
up with the story already?
The amount, I don't remember the amount, but I want to say it was equal to one pill or equal to $40.
Which one
Either
was it?
$30 or $40. And like I said, I had a bunch of money. I was like, yeah. He said to us, he's like, he needs the money to like get his re-up or something.
He was
And I
lying.
was like, yeah, you can owe us. Because we saw him all the time. Ryan was buying pills from him every day, sometimes twice a day.
Just admit you couldn't
So
say no.
I didn't mind him owing. I didn't mind him owing me because I knew I would obviously see him again.
No, you didn't.
Well, I bump into him again. I'm like, hey, do you have that?
Got
He's
my
like,
money?
no, can I get it to you next time? Yeah, no problem, right?
He had no intentions of paying you back.
And so that happens, and for, like something happens to where I stop seeing Adrian, or I stop going with Ryan to meet him or something.
Yeah, you were busy
And
shooting dope.
This is like when I start doing like my heroin. I start getting on like my heroin binge. I become like a full blown junkie.
Straight scumbag.
I'm missing a lot of like timestamps here, but I'm gonna try to like just continue on the story. So
This is why you have no subscribers.
me and Ryan are hanging out one day,
Shout out to Ryan.
and I remember I was broke. I didn't have any money.
You never had money.
Ryan was trying to get
oxys.
oxys. He only had enough for like one oxy.
Adrian.
He calls Adrian, says, hey, can I get one? And Adrian's like, yeah. He's like, He's like, how much is it, Adrian? Because Adrian was always changing the prices. Like sometimes it was 25, sometimes it was 30, sometimes it was 40. And then like when he was down to his last one, you know what I mean? That's when it was like 50. Anyways, so Adrian had told Ryan it's like $30.
For a stupid pill.
Well, then he talks to me again on the phone. He's like, actually, I need 40.
Because you're a punk.
And so I tell Ryan, I'm like, he just told you it was 30. Now he's telling you it's 40. I'm like, dude, you spend so much money with this dude and he's trying to like rip you off like this. I was like, nah, bro. I said, that's not cool.
You know you done messed up, right?
I said, let's go. I said, let's get in his car. And I said, let's do something to this dude. Like, let's
knock him out.
Rough him up. Let's take his pills or let's scare him or something. And Ryan was like, no, man, you don't know this guy. Like, this guy's connected. And he drove this Infiniti, which like at the time it was a really nice Infiniti. And it kind of gave, when he drove around in this car, it kind of gave him the look of like this big time drug dealer. I mean, it was nice. It was like a G35.
He thinks he is John.
Really nice car, all
with no gas.
But like he just had this vibe of just being this like dangerous like drug dealer. And so Ryan was afraid of him.
I'm scared.
And I said, Ryan, let's get him, bro. He's screwing you over. Also, he might have ripped him off. I don't remember the exact situation. It was something along the lines of like Adrian had crossed the line. Like
again.
He'd done something to disrespect Ryan or to disrespect me, and I was upset. And this was when I was in my crazy days, where like
you're still crazy.
Like I was loyal and I was humble
and retarded.
But if you crossed me and you disrespected me and you really if you really did me dirty,
I'll show you dirty.
I would.
What are you gonna do?
Like,
you can't fight.
Don't act like you're tough.
I felt like I was just a really dangerous person.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, you had to do something to me in order for me to get this out of me. But like, if you did do something to me, I was really I was about that life. I really was. No, I'm not anymore. Like, I don't like hurting anybody now. Like,
Unless the delivery driver messes up my order.
Calling somebody a name. I don't even like making people feel bad. I feel like if I hurt somebody, it makes me feel uneasy. That's just when you become a Christian, you don't want to hurt people anymore. But back in the day, I didn't care about hurting people if they had crossed me.
Still not an excuse.
And like I said, Adrian, he had done something to where it really had violated.
I forgive him
and
now.
Me and Ryan have known each other since we were 4. It's like me and Ryan are really tight.
I love Ryan like a brother.
Ryan's like my best friend. You know, you mess with Ryan, you mess with me. Like I would take a bullet for Ryan. Like I love Ryan. He's we're still good friends. I mean, he's still doing his thing right now, but I'm praying and hoping he comes out of it. I keep telling him, hey, come to California and I'll help you get your life back on track. And I really would I feel bad for him, man. I really wish. I'm afraid that he's gonna die. But anyways, so that's what's going on with Adrian. So I don't remember how much time had passed. It's been a few months, but I said, Ryan, remember Adrian still owes me that pill. I said, let's tell him that we want to buy one, and then when he shows up, I'm gonna demand that he give us what he owes us. And Ryan's like, no, that's not a good idea. He might be carrying a gun, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Ryan, I don't care. Like, this dude, he owes us, and he's
crossed the line.
He's crossed the line. He's crossed the line. He has crossed the line.
We meet him at, used to be Mark's Show Place in Portland. It was the strip club, Platinum Plus.
Adrian's brother was a bouncer there.
We meet him at Platinum Plus in the parking lot, which was his hangout spot. Which was actually how his brother got caught with the feds. We meet him at the Platinum Plus parking lot, and Ryan gets in the front seat or something.
While you're brushing and flossing. Everybody
Ryan gets in the back seat, and I get in the front seat. And I'm like, hey, what's up? Can we get it? And so he gives me the pill, and I said, thanks. I said, hey, bro, I just want to let you know, we're not paying you for this because you owe me. I said, it's been months now. You haven't paid me.
Time's up, buddy.
So we're taking this. This is ours. And he flips. He's like, no. He's like, you better give me my money. He looks at it like I'm strong-arming him, but I'm looking at it like, no, you owe me this. And so I got animosity. And so he starts, this is Maine, so people wear like big coats and jackets in Maine. So he starts like reaching in his coat, like as we're arguing, and he's reaching like he's gonna pull out a gun. And for some reason, I just instantly knew, I just knew that he didn't have a gun. So I punched him. I punched him in the face. Not hard, it was kind of just like a just in this, not like the face area, but like the head. I punched him in the head.
Sorry, Adrian. And I apologize.
I said, dude, I said, you're acting like you're gonna shoot us now? I said, you owe us this. Now you're acting like you're gonna kill us. I said, I know you ain't got no gun, dude. I said, if you got a gun, I said, pull it out and shoot me right
that's
now.
Gangster.
And I called his bluff. He didn't have a gun, and he was mad. His face got beet red. He was so mad. And
Ryan couldn't believe what he just witnessed.
And that was that. But what happened
We became friends after this.
After that happened, he ended up calling me. It wasn't the same day. It was like another day or a couple days later. And he says, hey, he says, I'm sorry about the other night. He says, you're right.
It's my fault, dog.
I did owe you that. And so I'm not mad about that. We'll call it even now. He says, that's cool.
Can I give you a hug?
He says, can I come pick you up and
give you a big I'm sorry
says,
hug?
I need your help with something. What he needed my help was that he saw that I had balls to like be violent, and he saw that as like, oh, like this guy Timothy's violent. He's not afraid to hit people. Maybe I could use him on my side to like, like, because he was a drug dealer, so he had people that owed him. So he looked at me as like, oh, he can collect for me.
I will collect for you.
And give my breath to you.
And that's like, he was like a businessman. Like that's, that's what was going through his head. Like he's going to use me as his enforcer now. Which I was never.
We never support
like
abortion.
I said, the only way you got that out of me was that you had to like double cross me. You had to like do something to me to pull that out of me. I can't just turn that on, turn it off anytime I want.
I forgive you, bro.
So yeah, and so
I love you, Adrian.
I'm like, sure. And so what I do is I start going on his drug deals with him.
He just wanted someone to hang out with.
Never really doing anything, just sort of like just being there.
Being a friend.
Like, like
a support system.
Basically just to be intimidating, but I was not,
People just get lonely sometimes.
I don't know. I think that's what was
Love you, Adrian.
And so I just start hanging out with him, and he's like, he's giving me free drugs, and he's making money, and I'm like always trying to like buy and sell things, and so like since he's always trying to make money and I'm always trying to make money, we actually became like a good pair. I start turning him on to my cell phone thing, and like with the cell phone thing, you need money to like put down payments on the phones. So I'm like, hey, can we take some of your drug money, invest it in cell phones? And then I'm like, I've got these Somalian people and they'll buy the phones. Like why don't we do that? And so like we start making money like that. Then he tries to go behind my back and take the Somalian cell phone connection. Like he tries to like sell cell phones to them without me knowing. But anyways, that's a different story. But yeah, and so we start hustling together, and we actually did good, man. Like he was more of like a I don't want to say book smart, because he was very street smart. He was more of like a mathematic guy, like had everything like very calculated, to where I was all over the place, but I knew how to make money. And so like with these two skills combined, like we made a really good team. So I start hanging out with him a lot, like but it's like a weird relationship. Like we both don't really like each other, but we're hanging out because like I don't think he really had any friends. I didn't really have many friends, and we both shared a love of shooting heroin. And so that's kind of like what we would do is I would stay at his condo, and we would just go out all day and try to make as much money as we possibly could, doing just random things. Sometimes we'd give people rides and they'd break us off. He was in contact with a lot of like the big wig drug dealers in Portland. And like I said, he had this like, he looked like a big time drug dealer. That's the vibe that he gave off. and people knew him as an oxy dealer. And so the major drug dealers in Portland at the time, they're all in jail now, but at the time they all trusted him because they knew that he sold oxys. So like, you know, we were in with a lot of like the underground drug scene in Portland. Like people would trust us. They'd let us in places. They'd let us see stuff that normally like we weren't, that the regular junkies weren't able to see. We'd give rides to people while we'd give them rides, they'd be doing like big deals. And they also had like this prostitute thing going on. So like we would pick up his prostitutes and like bring them places. And so that's what we do. We would just drive around all day Portland and make money, and then we would get our drugs at the end of the day, and just go back to his house, do more drugs, wake up in the morning and just do it all over again. And that was our life. Adrian ended up getting in debt with a lot of dealers. Like he was good at persuading people. So the dealers, he'd say, why don't you give me some of your product and I'll sell it for you, and then once I sell it, I'll get the money, I'll give it back to you, and then you give me more drug. And so, like I said, they trusted him because they knew that he was an oxy dealer, and he had the Infinity G35, so it looked like he was making money. And so they trusted him. So they'd give him drugs, and then Adrian would he would make up an excuse about how he got robbed and how he can't pay him, but he still needs more drugs. But so he does this with lots of the dealers in Portland, to the point where he's pretty much burnt all of his bridges. Like nobody will even sell him a gram anymore. So I have to start going and like buying the drugs. They know it's for him. And yeah. So Adrian ends up getting arrested for something. I don't know if it was for drugs or I don't know. I don't remember what it was for, but somehow he got arrested. Maybe it was for possession, I don't know. But he got arrested, and while he was in jail, his apartment had gotten robbed. He didn't have much. He used to make a lot of money back in the day, so he had collected like artwork, and he had like Louis Vuitton shoes and really expensive like Louis Vuitton shirts and stuff. He had a TV and a PlayStation. Anyways, his house gets broken. It was his brother Justin that robbed his house, but we found that out later on. But so his house gets broken into, and he loses everything. He's real mad about that. He owes his brother money. He owes everybody in Portland money, and the heat is starting to come down where the drug dealers are like pretty much like, hey, you need to pay me or else we're gonna kill you. I'm at the point where I'm so strung out that like I want to get my life together, but I can't. I want to get on Suboxone, but at the time, I don't even know. It might still be like this, but in Maine, it's hard to get on Suboxone. If you don't have like a caretaker or somebody who's gonna like drive you to appointments, because like in California, you can just go to the clinic, kind of get seen and get on Suboxone. In Maine, you gotta like take the bus to this place, take the bus to this place. The weather in Maine is different. Sometimes it's snowing, sometimes it's raining. Like weather in California, it's always sunny, so you always know you can get to like a certain place and it's going to be sunny. Well, in Maine, you don't know like if it's going to be a snowstorm, if it's going to be a hurricane, like and so like getting to appointments as a junkie is very difficult. Plus, I remember the Suboxone place said they were going to accept me. I couldn't get past the intake process. For one, every time I went, they told me that I was too high and I needed to come back. And I kept telling them, I'm like, the reason why I'm so high is because I'm trying to get off this so I can get on Suboxone. I'm like, if you give me the Suboxone, I'm going to be off the drugs. Like, I kept trying to say that. And they're like, well, you need to be sober to come in. Like, I'm getting Suboxone because I'm a junkie. Like, oh, I remember just feeling like so confused. Like, I'm trying to get treatment for heroin, but you're mad at me for doing heroin and won't give me the drug to get me off heroin. Anyways, I remember like not having like bus fare and asking people in the Hannaford parking lot, like, hey, can you help me out with some money to get on the bus? I remember I didn't have enough money to get on the bus to get to the clinic just to get my Suboxone. I never ended up getting Suboxone in Maine. It was so difficult for me. Methadone too. I forget about going to the methadone clinic. It was full. Like, you couldn't even get in there if you wanted to. I had no insurance. When my son was born, I remember, because I had a son, they gave me insurance. It was like for 2 days, and then once me and my son's mother like split up, they took away my insurance. Like, the whole time I was in Maine for 6 years, never had medical insurance. I come to California, I'm here for 24 hours. I go to the emergency room, I have full coverage insurance within 1 day of being in California. That's the difference. Maine, California's like night and day. So, so I'm with Adrian, and like I said, the heat's coming down on him. He's getting scared. I'm a full-blown junkie at this point, and my life is out of control. I think I told you what happened. So there's a lot more to the story. So what ended up happening is I had my son. My son was like, I think 2 weeks old at the time. And my son's mother, I wanted to stay together and be a family. Even though we like weren't in love, I wanted to stay together and be a family, but she wanted to, and I get it. I was a junkie. Who wants to be with a junkie? So she wants to go her separate ways, and she wants to take the kid, which I get it. Who wants their kid around a junkie with needles? And I knew I couldn't like handle a kid anyway. I was too junked out of it. I remember trying to feed the kid his bottle, and I didn't have any heroin at the time. I was so sick that my hand could not even feed him the bottle. It was so bad. But I want to get my life back on track. And I had been doing a lot of crimes in Maine, and the police were looking for me for certain crimes. So that, all this, and then Adrian's rent was due, and the Florida pharmacies had started cracking down and no longer would fill his prescriptions. Or they had like cut it down to where, I forgot to tell you guys. So Adrian was going to Florida and getting these scripts. He was selling the oxys in Maine, and he was making so much money that he was paying his rent, he was paying his car bill, he was paying his insurance, and he was feeding his heroin habit, all from his prescription oxys. And he did this for years. I mean, I want to say he probably did that for like 4 years. Every month, take a plane to, and it paid for the plane trip. It paid for everything. Because you got to think he's getting 300 oxys. Each one is minimum $30. So 330 times, that's $9,000. Plus the other extra pills he was getting. So we'll just say $10,000. So he's making $10,000 a month. So we'll just say $1,500 for rent, utilities, which is probably going overboard, but we'll say $1,500. Car payment, we'll say $400. Insurance, $200. So there's $2,200 right there. We'll say gas, another $300, $2,500. So his bills are like $2,500 a month. He's making $10,000. And then plus his trip, we'll say another $500 for the plane ticket. So $3,000 just on his basic expenses and the plane ticket to get to Florida every single month. He still got $7,000 extra dollars. He was living large, man. He was making really good money. But anyways, so like I said, heat's coming down. My life's out of control. He just got in his apartment robbed. He's got nothing in there, no TV. Like, I remember the only thing in there was toilet paper. Like, there was nothing in there. I think they'd even pissed on his couch. We couldn't even sit on the couch. So we're in there, and we're just scraping by day to day, getting a little bit of drugs here, just enough to so we don't get deathly sick. And he says, and he knows that I know how to sell things. He says, hey, I've got this the Star Wars collection. He said, I used to live in Florida. And he said, while I was there, he said, I was like working for I think it was insurance company. I don't remember. But he said, I used to make like a lot of money, and I would invest my money in Star Wars action figures, and like I was obsessed with Star Wars. He's like, I got the Star Wars collection. He says it's still there. Everything's brand new in the package. He's like, will you help me sell it? He says, I'll bring you to Florida with me and we'll sell it. And he says, I'll break you off. I don't think he said he'd give me half, but he said he'd break me off of this collection. I said, well, how much is it worth? He's like, I don't know. He's like, but it's a big collection. I'm not going to get, I made another video about that. I'm not going to get into that, but the video is about Florida. So we ended up doing that. We ended up going to Florida. We drove there. Oh, and he had bought his car in Florida, and it was up for repossession, and the repossession is in Florida. So in Maine, he was safe because the repo people aren't there. But in Florida, like, he has to hide his car because like the repo people are looking for his car. So we drive from Maine down through like New York, Pennsylvania. We went through the Carolinas, all down. And we had left Maine with, I think we had 3 grams of heroin to our names. And so our plan was to wean ourselves down with the 3 grams, get to Florida, get jobs, start a new life, and get off the drugs. We genuinely didn't want to be drug addicts anymore. We really wanted to be off. And then we were going to sell his Star Wars collection. So that was going to be how we got some money. And so, the plan sounded good to me, Maine, nothing positive was happening in Maine. And I looked at it like, okay, like, this will be a change of scenery. I can, start my life over here, which it truly was the plan. Like I really did. I was seeking, to get out of that lifestyle. So we drive down there, we're doing a shot here, we're doing a shot there. By the time we had hit New York, our 3.5 grams was gone. Okay. And we wanted more, and we had a little bit of money. And so we would stop places and we would like try to score like, anything. We were looking for heroin, but like when you're a heroin junkie, like there's a few things that can make you well. Like, oxys can make you well. Like any opiate will get you well. So we're looking for like any opiates, and we can't find any, but we're so sick that we can't even really ask anybody because we're so dope sick. So it's more like we just kind of roll down the window and like ask people, and people are trying to rip us off. And hold on. Yeah. And it's rough. We ended up ordering, when we got to Florida, we ended up ordering Chinese food. And I talked to the Chinese food guy, and he said that he had Vicodins, which are 5 milligrams. And we ended up buying like 20 of those from him. And he took half and I took half. And like, we felt slightly better, like just barely, and like, I remember like doing the Vicodins and just feeling that little bit of relief. Like it felt so good to just feel like almost normal. Like we didn't feel normal, but like after, going a week without any type of opiate, like just that little bit of warmth felt really good. But it wasn't enough. And yeah, so we had driven, and we ran out in New York. I remember like being in New York, just being like, oh my gosh, we still need to finish this drive and we have nothing. That car ride was just sweating. I don't think we even said a word. It was just the most uncomfortable, knowing like we're going to this place, and like we're thinking, he's thinking like he might be able to get something. Like both of us are just thinking like we need to find heroin ASAP. Well, when we get to when we get to Florida, the only thing we can find is weed. We go to the ghetto. The people that we met in the ghetto, the only thing they could get was weed and, was it crack? I don't remember, but whenever we mentioned heroin, everybody was like, oh my gosh, heroin, no. Like the people that we were associating with was like, they were not about that, and we're all about that. And so his dad owned this wood shop. He had a this gigantic mobile home, and in the back of the mobile home he had this big woodworking shop where that's how he made money. And his dad's giving us money for like helping him out, like, you know, cutting wood, moving stuff around, just, you know, construction type stuff. And we're helping him. His dad's paying us, and we're looking for dope. We can't find it. Eventually we ended up finding somebody who had 30s. We did some 30s. I remember doing a 30 and just being like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I remember like doing a 30, like brought us back to life. I'm like, woo, I'm back, baby. But man, so I don't remember what happened, but we got into an argument about something, and I knew that we couldn't make this happen. We were just too sick. When you're that strung out, to bring you back to life, you need like support, somebody holding your hand, somebody getting your back, you know, like really like spoon feeding you back to health. That's what you need. You need somebody like making your meals for you and basically showering you, cleaning you, and putting your shirt on for you, because you can't even put your shirt on because you're so sick. And we didn't have that. I didn't have that. He didn't have, well, he had his dad, but I didn't have that. And I knew, I'm like, well, I either need some support and somebody to help me through this, or I need to get back to Maine and start doing drugs again. And the easiest thing was to start doing drugs again, because I didn't have any support. I didn't. And so I think I called my mom, and I think I asked her to get me a plane ticket. I think that's how I got back. I don't remember. But I had warrants in Maine. So here I am catching a plane back to Maine where I got warrants. So it was just a bad situation. But the good news is that, like, I haven't talked to Adrian since then, but I've looked on his Facebook, and it looks like he's gotten his life back together. Looks like he's making money again. So it seems. I've gotten my life on track, so it ended up being a good thing for the both of us. I don't think he moved back to Maine. I think he stayed in Florida and got back on track. Adrian was a really smart guy, just real bright. Like, you know, like some people are like, you know, gifted like doctors, just really smart. Adrian was like that. He was like a doctor, just very, very, very smart. Smarter than me. But yeah, so he ended up getting his life back on track. I ended up getting my life back on track. And hugs, not drugs. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. Give your life to Christ. Yeah, that's what worked for me.